What's up, guys? Welcome to another workshop workout video. A couple things for you today. First, we're going to be making some breakfast. Going to make some Anabolic French Toast out of Coach Greg's cookbook. If you haven't heard of Coach Greg Doucette, look him up. He's got a lot of great videos on recipes and a bunch of other stuff. After that, we're going to do a gym workout. We're going to do a total body workout in the home gym using basic equipment. Hope you guys stick around and enjoy the video.
All right, let's get going here. Coach Greg's Anabolic French Toast. Greg Doucette. Again, if you haven't checked him out, if you've never heard of him, go check his channel out. Lots of recipes, lots of weightlifting advice, guidance. This recipe actually came from another YouTuber who was making his recipe for French toast, so it should be fairly accurate. But I tend to take liberties with things that I cook anyways, so if I see fit to make a change somewhere, I'll just make a change. So starting out with egg whites here, I usually, however many egg whites I use is going to depend on how many pieces of bread I'm wanting to have. So you saw there that I had 5 pieces of bread held up, so I'll go with 5 egg whites. And one thing I'll sometimes do, right now I'm on a bit of a cut, so I'm trying to keep the calories low. But when I'm not on a cut, what I'll often do is throw in a whole egg or 2, which just adds some flavor and makes it a little beefier. But no egg whites today, keeping it lean and mean. Got the vanilla extract, got the stevia, the baking stevia, and got some ground cinnamon, a ton of ground cinnamon, scrambling it all up, make the juice there, baptizing the bread into the juice, throwing it on my handy griddle. I use my griddle so much, and if you don't have a griddle, you got to invest in one. So I had a ton of leftover egg whites. So instead of just pouring it on top of the 5 pieces of bread, I added a 6th because I had so much left over. That's no problem. And then my secret ingredient here, which I'm not sure if Coach Greg uses the cinnamon sugar, but I've got a huge sweet tooth, so I always like to sprinkle a little bit of cinnamon sugar on top just to round it out. And after you let them sit for a couple minutes, kind of like making pancakes, keep an eye on it, and when you feel like it's getting done, just flip it over. Now these tend to get a little mushy, so I like to make sure mine are cooked nice and long. And in keeping with trying to keep this meal a low-calorie meal, I've got black coffee here with a little bit of milk at the bottom, no sugar, and then there's the final product. So the meal altogether is right at 500 calories and about 38 grams of protein. So that's a nice dense meal, but fairly low calorie, which is perfect if you're on a cut. And keeping it even lower, and I've factored this in, I use sugar-free syrup, which I'm throwing on here. So this is a perfect meal to have an hour or 2 before your workout. And with that, let's go to the workout. So here we go with the workout, total body workout. On total body days, I typically will hit 1 exercise per muscle group, usually only 1 exercise, sometimes more than 1. It just depends on how I'm feeling and kind of depends on the muscle group. I've started here with some rows, using a T-bar row, which I use a landmine attachment. The landmine attachment connects to the base of your power rack. You don't have to use a landmine attachment. You could just throw the weight on your bar and pull the bar up to you. The bar might walk around a little bit. You could maybe put it in a corner or something like that. There's a couple of ways you could do it, but I went ahead and bought the attachment because it's not expensive. It was like 20 or 30 bucks. And if you notice here, my the handle that I'm using for the grip, that is another piece that I bought separately, again about 30 bucks or so. Just makes it a little easier to grip that bar. And I've always loved T-bar rows, so I try to do them weekly. And then on to some squats. If I'm doing a total body workout, that means I have to hit legs. I don't like to save legs till the end because, like everybody else, legs aren't my favorite body part to hit. And they also take a ton of energy. So I find mentally that I perform a little better on whatever the leg exercise is for that day if I do it earlier in the workout instead of later. So the way I'm doing it here, kind of looking at the camera there, the way I'm doing it here is I'm squatting what would typically be a lighter to a moderate weight for me, but I'm making it more difficult on myself by not locking my knees out at the top. That keeps the tension constant throughout the entire movement, and it just creates just a lot of tearing, muscle tearing, by not giving yourself a break. On to some bench press. A standard bench press, other than the fact that I've got my feet up on the bench itself and I've got my hips in the air, this is really just to mimic a decline bench press. I've always enjoyed decline bench press. I've always felt a good connection in my chest muscles with the decline, particularly for some reason. In that decline position, that was a grinder there. In that decline position, you can just really focus on the chest and less on everything else that usually will get involved on the bench press movement for guys, like shoulders, for example. This helps minimize that and really focus it on the chest. And you can't tell when I speed it up, but I'm trying to use a slightly more paced tempo, slightly slower than normal, not by much. I'm still trying to lift heavier with this workout because I'm on a cut. And when I'm on a cut, I'm usually not doing a ton of volume. I'm usually focusing on poundage, keeping the weight heavy on the bar. But I just finished a really heavy workout recently, this past weekend. So to give my joints just a little bit of a break, I've lightened up the weight a little bit and gone back to some more of this slow tempo kind of repetition work. And I enjoy that a lot. So I didn't give myself a break there. I just ripped the weight off, brought it down 50 pounds, and squeezed out a couple more, which I had the energy for it. And instead of doing more like 4 sets or so of bench, I opted to cut it short a little bit and to throw in some dumbbell flies. I know this isn't something that you can do with a barbell. You've got to have dumbbells for this kind of thing. But that's something that I've been trying to invest in just as time goes by, is trying to add more standard plates in my collection so that I can put more weight on my dumbbells. And as far as flies go, I really enjoy the fly, and I enjoy the way it feels. So I try to do flies at least once a week, if not more often. Here's just some standard curls. Nothing fancy, just good old-fashioned standing dumbbell curls. I don't know if you could see there my breath. It was cold in my shop. I do have heat going, portable propane heater, but it was still very cold. So I think that was the second set that I did of that. So I did 2 sets of standing, and then I decided to do 2 sets of these, again, old-fashioned, tried and true isolation curls. I've got the speed sped up here, but I'm trying to do these a little bit slower and trying to squeeze a little bit more at the top there, just for a little bit more contraction, a little bit more pump. I get really good feedback off of these as well. I feel a good connection with them, so I like these isolating bicep curls. I probably wouldn't ever do just these type of isolation curls. I would typically do it like I did here, tagged on to something else. Yeah, these are really interesting to do, because if you slow the tempo down like I've done here, it doesn't take much weight at all to just tear your biceps up. I'm only using a little over 20 pounds here. Yeah, and I'm feeling it there, and it just really rips up the muscle. On to some triceps. The one thing that I wish I could do in more variety are tricep movements at my gym. So about the only game in town for me are skull crushers. I have an easy curl bar that you can see in the background, and of course I've got dumbbells. You can also do bench dips, which I do that a lot, and of course you can do variations on push-ups. But one thing I do miss is the old cable tricep extension machine. So to finish off with some shoulders, instead of doing presses like I usually do, I decided I would do this kind of circuit-ish, kind of a circuit, not really a circuit, but I'm mixing two different exercises here in one. I'm doing side raises and side delt raises and front delt raises, and these are really tough. I've got a lot of weight on there to be doing what I'm doing. This was my third set, and if you're counting, I'm only getting 10 reps, and it's just really killing me. Probably could have lightened the weight up here, but I was pushing an hour in the gym and I wanted to speed things up. So one thing I did here at the end, which I highly recommend if you've never tried it before, is that whenever you finish any kind of flies, grab lightweight. I mean, half of what you were using, maybe even more than half, and just do these little half reps up at the top. You can do these with the front delt just in front of you, but I really like the way they feel off to the side, and I'm just toast there. You can see that face. That's no acting. But that was a great workout. So that's a little taste of what I do for Total Body.